Yo, but you know who it is. It's your boy Sean Spencer. That's my guy, Will Kramer. We're talking free agency. We're talking the offseason. Shout out to all you guys in the comments. I did want to read this real quick. Uh,
I did
that's
not
where
know
you like
this.
that came from. Kurt first shut it down. Diet on Easter. What did he say?
He shouted it during an Easter sermon at
Yeah.
McLean Bible Church.
And the funny thing is, I can see him being at a McLean Bible
You know
Church.
that's totally a place he would have been.
Oh yeah, he would
Totally.
have been there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, appreciate you guys in here joining us. We're moving down the line. Got to talk about our signings. Some of these guys that we picked up. Will, I'm going to send it to you as I bring this up. We were happy with what we've done, but
Mhm.
let's actually dive into what does this mean for us? Like, what positions does this help us with going into what we're going to talk about in a little bit with the draft and stuff?
Right. And we're kind of focusing on the new players here,
Yeah.
and what they're bringing in. So I think let's talk about the first one, the only big money signing that we had, which was defensive tackle or defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw.
Hmm.
I don't think anyone was happy with this move. I think everyone kind of looked at this and went, "Huh?" And remember, I said to you and Ab, I said, I can't wait for this year's like, who the heck is that type player? Well, this
Yeah.
was more the what the heck is this
Right.
when it came in. You know, I will say he is a bigger body, and they clearly, by not even really going after Dante Fowler very hard, they made it clear that stopping the run was going to be part of their free agency. And some of the rest of the guys they got, these depth players, are all about that. And so I'm just assuming that they know how to use Kinlaw a little bit better. I do think he had a down time with the Jets and he played
Hmm.
better with the 49ers. And so I think however the 49ers use him, plus Daryl Tapp was his defensive line coach there.
Hmm.
Adam Peters was there in San Francisco. I'm going to say, okay, I don't like the signing. I don't really like the money, but I'm going to trust that if you guys sign him on day one, you have a thought process as to how he's going to fit with the scheme. And with that, I'll go, all right, I'll give you a chance.
Yeah, that's solely how I feel about it because I remember the first when I first heard it, I was like, wait, Kinlaw. Wait, is that one of these guys that was dominant? I remember from college at Kinlaw. And then I went and I looked up his stats, like you were saying, when he was with the Jets. I was like, what the? Like, oh, okay, this okay for that contract. This is what we're doing. But to your point, one thing that we do know is they know kind of what they're doing. They know the guys that they're bringing in, and there's a certain type of pedigree, there's a certain type of temperament that you're getting. But the other part about this, and one of the things that I think was key in the fact that I don't think the Jonathan Allen thing is going to hurt us so much. One thing that we've seen last year is they play D line by committee. They'll bring a number of guys in there at D tackle, and they'll keep that rotation going, and they'll do the same at edge. This for me fits right into what they're doing, and some of these other picks that we'll talk about, or some of these other signings that we'll talk about, where it's just like these are bodies. Now, Kinlaw might be somebody that might be on there a little bit more, but some of these other guys is just, hey, all right, he's another guy. Put him in, put him in, put him in. Now we can run three D tackles up in the middle and really focus on stopping that run game, which was an issue you talked about that we needed to address this off season. So yeah, I mean he had 4.5 sacks a year ago, um, but to your point, like his best years. Well, shoot, actually, to be honest with you, his best year was last year. 40
Sack
combined
wise,
tackles, 13 assisted, and 4.4.5 sacks. So they like something in him. I mean, maybe it's the size, and we've seen some of the guys that they brought are definitely bigger. Um, but this is one of those where I'm just going to have to trust what does Philly say? Trust the process, and that's where I think we're going to have to be at with this because this is one of those where it's like, okay, all right, if,
right,
if you know what you're doing, fine, all right.
right. I'm with
And
you. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. It wasn't thrilled with it, but like, all right, you drafted him in San Francisco. You saw something to give him a first round pick. You brought him now when you're running your own franchise. There's got to be something there. I would hope. But
mhm.
I'm hoping there's something there. The one that kind of got me surprised, but then excited, I should say, was safety Will Harris
Mhm.
because Jeremy Chin left for a very modest contract, 2 years, $16 million with the Raiders. We were all sitting there going like, really? Y'all couldn't give him that? Like, what are we doing here? Well, so then we signed this Will Harris, who I didn't know who this guy is. And then I saw the clips that was circulating about who he is and how the time he thumped CeeDee Lamb in coverage in the end zone in Dallas. And then you start looking at his measurables. And I'm not talking about height, weight necessarily. I'm talking about the RAS scores that he's got, these athletics, the raw athletic scores. And he is toe-to-toe with Jeremy Chin, if not better in coverage. And I'm like, whoa. So they got younger, maybe not younger, but they got cheaper to replace. They got the same player for cheaper, and he's supposed to be better in coverage. Like, all right, I don't know who he is, but I'm going to trust the process. You said it perfect.
And one thing I do know that hit, I definitely have seen that clip. But another thing, last year, he had 74 combined tackles with 20 assisted. What that tells me is that he's around the ball. And we've seen some of the clips, some of the highlights. But what you're starting to see is tougher, grittier guys that are around the ball that can potentially come up from whatever position they're in and really kind of make a difference. Lay the wood, let that impact be known, and that intrigues me. And then when you look at some of the other names, it was kind of like, well, Harris. Okay, I know that name. I like. Oh, okay, I like it. Okay. Still, I didn't question us moving on from Chin. I guess we thought, and this is where what they see and what I see as a fan or what we see might be a little different, because I definitely thought that they admit that towards the end of the year, I mean, he was a solid contributor to the team. So I figured, okay, they'd bring him back, but maybe they had other options. And we can't forget how he struggled early on, but a lot of people struggled early on, So, I mean, more power to him for going where he went. But to your point, it is weird that what he got wasn't out of the realm of imagination. Like, we could have done that and still been fine. So it must have been they were saying, we're good.
Moving on.
Right. If we give you something and you come back, it is what it is. But they were indifferent about that. So if that's what they're seeing, then I'm good.
Right. No, I agree. Now, it still keeps me a little bit nervous about the safety room because we've lost two safeties and we've only signed one so far. But, right, that's kind of how I was thinking. What did you think about the two signings of the Patriots players, Jonathan Jones and Dietrich Wise, a corner and a D end?
So I'm going to be honest with Jonathan Jones. I do not know a lot about Dietrich Wise, though I have seen him in time as, somebody that, he is a depth player. He is somebody that potentially move into that rotation. But honestly, that's the biggest thing that I see when I look at Dietrich Wise is the rotation. Jonathan Jones, really, I got nothing on Jonathan Jones. I'm not even gonna lie to you. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I didn't really know who either of these guys were. But one thing that stuck out to me is they were with the Patriots for like 8 to 10 years each.
Yeah.
So they were drafted by Bill Belichick. They stuck around with Bill Belichick year in and year out. That means he saw something in them. So I think there's something there. Now, you know me in corners. If you're not a certain prototype, I'm not interested in you.
Right.
Jonathan Jones does not fit my prototype at all.
Yeah.
But he's a strong tackler. He's a feisty player. And he's willing to stick in there and make plays in the run game, which, again, there's a theme here. What did we do with and same with Dietrich Wise? He plays the run game. There's a big theme that they're going for here with, like you said, role players. I mean, I don't know where he fits from is he corner 3? Is he corner 4? I don't think he's a starting corner right now. I don't think he's better than Sanders still because he is short. So you're not fully fixing the issue with this guy, but I think he's a whole heck of a lot better than Mike Davis. So I think from a standpoint, he's better than St. Juice, I believe. So again, for the sake of if he's our corner 3 or corner 4, we've got some depth signings here that are better. But I didn't know a whole lot about them either.
No, not gonna lie. And I'm gonna double down and go to the next guy, Jake Martin. What do you know about him?
Never heard of this guy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. That's exactly what I was hoping you knew something because I was like, nothing.
No.
I got nothing.
No, but I do like the other guy they signed from the Bears, Eddie Goldman.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
years ago, when he was coming out of Florida State, I really liked this guy. He's a big dude. And it's been a couple, he actually even retired. So he's been out of football for a little bit, but he came back. But he's just, he's a big bodied guy. He's not gonna fill your stat sheet. But one of the things they talked about that the Commanders could use some help on, and that Allen and Payne are not, is that big guy that takes up one or two offensive linemen, or just takes up space to allow your linebackers, your other defensive tackle, your eds to make a play. Goldman can be that guy. And we really didn't have that on the roster. They probably kept Phil Mathis last year looking for him to be that guy, and they traded away John Ridgeway. And that probably was a mistake because Mathis got cut, like 2/3 of the way through the season. They were finally just like, get on. You're not in.
Right.
And so they didn't have that big body guy to be like, well, we have to run around this guy because his fat butt is just sitting there. Now they do if he makes the roster. So I guess that one I didn't mind taking the flyer on.
Mm-hmm. And the other guy that we got recently, Nate Herbig. Now I will admit, I told you this before. There was a Herbig that I was very, very interested in over the last couple of years that played linebacker, and Will has let me know that's his brother. This is not that Herbig, right? I was like, oh yes, I like this guy. Wait, center? I don't know any Herbigs that play center. Come on. But this is great depth. I like this, and hopefully we can get him in there behind Biotis as opposed to Dieter, who we also re-signed, and Dieter, who really kind of struggled. I mean, did a decent at times, but our run game was not good when Biotis was out. So maybe this will help us to keep that run game going with Herbig being in there. But other than that, I mean, this is a depth move to me. What do you think?
I hope it's only a depth move. I hope he is not the injury replacement for Sam Cosmi until he's ready. I mean, the value of Herbig is the fact that he has started before, and these are great backups to bring in, as opposed to going up, bringing in a Chris Paul as if one of your guards gets injured. So I certainly think from a depth perception, from hey, you're bringing in a someone who has experience playing in this league, great. He was injured last year, which is also why he was available. So you got to be concerned about how he's recovered from the injury. It was pretty devastating. I don't know if it was Achilles or his knee. It was something pretty big. But like I said, the fact that he's played before, started games before, that's a good backup.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely like that. Handy, you know what else?
I don't understand half of the jokes Anthony's been putting out here. I'll be honest, Anthony. The something about the hair products, you ain't gonna. Yeah. I ain't gonna understand that.
Comic relief, Andy. Comic relief. Yeah, you do have jokes. Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah, those were our signings. Will, anybody else that I know a lot of people we re-signed.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
Yeah. So that's all that. So analyzing our signing.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.